Family, today's conversation is brought to you by Spalding, right? Spalding is what got me to where I am, right? And today's conversation is going to be about the mind. My name is Marshawn Robinson. I am a communications major at the University of Ripon College. I am also a collegiate athlete. I play basketball, and I'm what you would like to call an enthusiast, right? I'm somebody who juices every moment out of every second so I can use my experiences, right, to help you. Now let's begin. So this object right here in front of me, I damn near marry this. I ain't even gonna lie. I would marry this if I legally could because it gives me love, right? And the thing about this right here, it has taught me so many things about my mind that without the lessons that I've learned from it, I wouldn't be where I am. So when you look at this right here, this prop, this object, it makes you feel a certain type of way, right? When I look at a basketball compared to whenever somebody else looks at it, they don't get the same feeling, right? It's just the same thing. Like if I looked at someone's necklace or jewelry, it gives them a certain type of energy, a certain type of consciousness that allows them to lock into something different, right? It's the same thing as sexual energy, right? Sexual energy is one of the most powerful energies because it's something that you can tap to at whatever time, right? You can become horny anytime because what this is just the energy, right? And what I'm trying to explain to you is when you can tap in to any type of energy at any time, you have an edge over everyone else. So first we're going to begin about consciousness, right? And going to sleep, right? Joe Dispenza is an esteemed neuroscientist, and he did a study where he took 60 patients. And with those 60 patients, he split the group into 30 half and 30 the other half. He had some patients go to sleep with background noises, right? Some did rain noises on the 30. And the other side, they had people go to sleep with reprogramming mind things, right? And the reprogramming audio would be something like affirmations. You know how affirmations are. They're like, I will be abundant or I will be successful, you know, positive things, right? And what he wanted to accomplish was that last few seconds before you go to sleep, which are the most important seconds of your sleep, because this determines whether your sleep is going to be restful, right, or chaotic, right? This is going to determine if you're going to wake up in a good state, or you're going to wake up in a non-good state. And what he ended up concluding with is people who went to sleep with rain sounds, sleep sounds, they slept very well, right? But had no knowledge output. They didn't wake up with an idea. They didn't wake up where they were ready to go, right? And manifesting, right? Focusing on that one thing that they wanted to. With the people who were on the other side, who had the reprogramming, what he found was something miraculous, right? He found that these 30 people learned new skills, right? He had some people reprogramming on piano. He had some people reprogramming on healing themselves, right? And they did it for 30 days. And it shows you how powerful the mind is. And I want you to try that too, right? When you go to sleep, before you go to sleep at night, understand those last couple seconds where you go from wakefulness to sleep are the most important, right? So this means that you got to get off your phone before you go to sleep. This means you got to cut off all blue light. This is the simple things that they talk about from ages 0 and up, right? Before you even born, like you don't need all of these things going in your room to give you a restful sleep. Some people do go to sleep better with those things on, and if you do, that's just a psychological entity, right? It's something you got to get out of your system because you are decreasing, right? The potential that you have every day matters. So if I can get the best sleep every single day, I set myself up for a productive day, right? So this 4 hours of sleep, this 3 hours of sleep is not going to work. Okay, it's not going to work, especially if you're an athlete. It won't work because Kobe did it and he said it didn't work either, right? He was in the game. He getting 4 hours of sleep, but he's in the gym still 3-4 times a day. And what he said was like, it was at a point where like he wasn't progressing. And like he like when it came game time, he felt tired. His legs were lethargic. You know, when it came to fourth quarter or, you know, his shot fell off, he couldn't really focus. and it tied back to his sleep, right? And that actually turned him into a very mindful person, right? He actually had an app, kind of like LeBron, called the Calm app, where they have meditation practices, affirmations, right? And these are things that everybody knows but doesn't do. And that is just a sleep thing. All right, so get y'all sleep right. Once you get that right, you basically have the foundation for a successful day. Okay. Now, the second thing, we're going to talk about focusing, right? And this ties into sleep, right? You need that sleep in order to focus, right? A lot of people nowadays have ADHD, have ADD, ODD. They have a lot of disorders where it comes to focusing, right? Where this ties from is genetic DNA codes and genetic mutations, right? These come from your parents, right? It comes from your grandparents, whoever has a disorder where focus is adherent. Now, this doesn't mean that the brain activity that's going on determines your life. It just means that now you have a lot of energy that you need to focus. When you have ADHD, you have so many things going on in your head. You're like, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do that. And you're not able to progress and get things done, right? Even if you don't have it, people still struggle with focus as well. And the things that I've been learning from people who have focus disorders and who've overcame those is they had the good sleep, for one, right? They meditated, for two, right? Not just sitting down and meditating, but walking without distraction, right? So this means a walk in the park, right? And just feeling and being in the moment, right? This means when you're eating, don't have a phone next to you, right? Instead of eating while the phone is next to you or talking to somebody, have one meal a day where it's just you and the food, right? Eat with your hands, right? Feel that food, right? I feel like we've lost that art when it comes to being in the moment, right? With our food and really taking in everything, right? These are things that, science and, just life, has just enhanced because we want to make things a little easier for ourselves. So that's the focus part. So what do we have right now? We have the sleep part, we have the focus part, and now we need the consciousness, right? So once you've done that sleep, once you've done, your focus time, now you have to be conscious with every move that you make. Okay. So let's say, for example, you at the free throw line, you feel me? And, you need to hit the shot. And you've been in the gym, right? You've been getting your sleep in, right? And you've been doing your focus work. You've been doing your meditation and things of that nature. But then you miss. Whose fault is it? Right? You did the sleep right. You did your consciousness right. You're like, dang, like I should be hitting every shot. I'm in the gym 3-4 times a day. Right? And it's really just being in the moment. And, it's like you can have 1,000 people around you. You can have a crowd going. You can have a bird flying. It don't matter what it is. The focus should still be there. Right? That's all consciousness is. It's just like the conversations that you're in. When I have a conversation with somebody, I like to try my best to really focus on a certain point on them. Right? So for me, what helps is I focus on like the middle of the forehead, right? I just focus on that because it helps me and do that. Some people do other things. Some people need to look away to be able to focus or do something, but it helps me, right? And when we translate this to the game, when I'm at the free throw line, what I do is I stick to my routine, right? Because it's that work that you do, right? One of my boys had this quote. He said, the work is going to show. Right, and the work does show when you just stick to what you know, right? And instead of trying to try something new, just do what you programmed your mind to do, right? When you went to sleep and you programmed your mind to wake up for a successful day, right? When you done that focus work and you programmed your mind to be able to focus on one thing, right? These all tie in. So don't go away from it. Just stick to it. And sometimes you're going to miss. This is part of the game. Sometimes you're going to get the job. That's part of the game, right? And sometimes you're not. It's part of the game. It helps you. It builds you. And this is why we do these practices. So far we have sleep, right? We have focus, right? And we have consciousness, right? And the fourth one is probably an overlooked one, and it's be happy, even through the unhappiest moments. So let's say you walking through the park, and you step in some dog poop. You like, dang, that's crazy. Instead of getting out of character, be like, dang, I just stepped in some dog poop. What am I gonna do now? You gonna take your shoe off and just go about your day. Small things like that, small moments like that really define how you react, right, in your relationships, right? Even if it's small things, you carry that on from even the small things that happen through your day. Because whether you like it or not, you're programming your mind every time that you talk, everything that you do, even the small things that you don't think about, you're programming your mind and setting it up for those moments. And once you realize that, you can be happy, right? So whatever it is, be happy. When you eat your food, be happy, right? Sometimes you got to fake a smile. This is part of society. This is part of growing. Sometimes you got to fake a smile, right? But I'm not saying all the time. If you need help, I say go get help. Go seek some help, right? Go out to a psychologist, get therapy, right? Be in a men's group, have a group, But I'm just saying, like, in the moments that you feel like getting out of character, you got to be happy, right? You have to understand that, hey, maybe this is what I'm destined for. Okay, maybe I had to step in the dog poop and it was a testament, right? If you in your Bibles, you see that everything God did wasn't perfect. You understand me? But it was his plan. And that's the difference. Plan does not come with perfection. It comes with progression. When you progress in a productive way, there is no losing. There is only winning. There is only lessons learned, and there is only growth that you will seek. And the fifth one, which is my favorite one, is know how to love. Know how to love. Get a hug a day, all right? If you can't get a hug a day, hug yourself, bro. Do something to make yourself feel loved. Self-love is one of those things where it's difficult if you didn't have love growing up. But it doesn't define how you should receive love and how you should give it. I am one to experience that because I never really thought of a hug or, just a regular hug by yourself but that physical touch, it really does help a human. It makes them understand that, hey, this physical body is still here and it matters, right? You're supposed to care about your physical body. I feel like a lot of us don't understand the difference between a physical body and a spiritual body. The spiritual body is the one that stays with you when you pass away, right? That soul, that's why they call it a soul, right? When they talk about in that spirituality way, they call it a soul, right? And the soul is what draws people. It's that energy, right? It's the thing that you carry around with you. And that's easy to keep saying. That's easy because the only thing that you're feeding it is energy. You're not feeding it. Well, you are actually feeding it energy when you eat food, right? But when you're eating this bad food, right? When you watching this bad content, you're feeding your soul in a negative pranic way, and you're feeding your body in a negative pranic way. And the only outcome, what is a negative plus a negative? It equals a negative, right? A negative plus a positive, it equals a neutral, right? A positive plus a positive. This is a positive, right? And this is how we want to move our life. It should become eventually second nature. It should become routine, right? When you tie in the things that you eat to the things that you watch, it should all come together because you're doing this for a reason. You're doing this for a purpose. You're doing this because you want to be great. You're doing this because you want to plan, right? I don't talk on here for the people who are at a low level consciousness. I'm talking to the higher level conscious people, right? We don't go throughout our days in a non-productive way because we understand every moment. Like I said, I'm an enthusiast. I juice every moment out of every second out of every single moment because I want to learn, right, and understand. I will sit and talk to somebody for 5 hours if I wanted to because I have done my work. I've done everything that it is that I need to do to be able to do these things, right? And I still have some things to work on. I have a lot of things to work on. I'm never going to reach to where I want to get. But I'm happy on where I've came, especially, when you look back, right? And I feel like that is what should make you happy at the end of the day, right? You look back at where you were, right, and where you are. And it's not to say like where you were was a bad spot, but sometimes you do go through some hard things and Sometimes people don't need to know about all that, right? Sometimes you let them see the person that you are today. Let that person that you are today shine through, right? Let them understand and be mysterious and be like, dang, like, why is he how he is, right? And you smile and you go throughout your day in a productive way because you understand what you went through. That's your motivation. That's all you need, right? Your story. That's all you need. You don't need another person to come up and say, hey, why are you like this? Right? You don't want to be dynamic so much, right? You want to be on a positive trajectory, right? Just like when I'm hooping. Some days I'm gonna have some bad games, some days I'm not. So sometimes I go on some streaks, sometimes I go on some cold streaks. It's part of the game. But when it comes to you as a person, when you program your mind, when you get that sleep, right? When you have that consciousness, right? When you make yourself happy, when you give out that love, you unstoppable, bro. Right? The work is gonna show. No matter what it is, the work is gonna show. If you say you're one thing on your job resume and you go to the job and they hire you and they say, hey, let's do it, and you can't do it, the work didn't show. If somebody asks you one thing, just tell them the truth. Hey, bro, I ain't gonna lie, I'm not where I'm at. I have the confidence, right? I believe that I can get there, right? But that's the difference between saying I can do it and not being able to do it. Be truthful. It's okay if you're not where you want to be at, right? Colonel Sanders, KFC, he ain't started that till he got about 60 years old, right? And it's because he was tired of working a 9 to 5, and he said, man, I got to do my own thing. And he started a chicken joint at 55 years old. And now he's a billionaire off of making chicken and selling chicken in his car, bro. All right. It's never too late. It ain't never too late in life and everything. Be happy where you're at. But I'm not saying be stagnant. Always find a way out of the situation if you really want your life to be the greatest and the biggest. Right? We all have a measurement of how far we want this life to go. But it's a difference between knowing where I want to go and actually proactively doing something to get me to where I want to be. You have to make that choice. You have to take that sacrifice. You have to, save every dollar. You have to not go out sometimes. You have to walk to work an hour and a half, right? You have to buy a $500, $600 bike, ride that bike and the bike breaking. You got to walk it all the way back to a store. You got to do that sometimes, bro. And you got to be happy with it. You got to be like, thank you, God. I appreciate you. Right? And not look at it as a setback. Look at it as a setup. Right? I hate it when people say, man, I wish somebody had just come help. No, you don't need help. You don't. You have to find a way through it. Right? I feel like everything is just handed to us now in a way that it's supposed to be easy. We don't build dogs from that when things are easy. We build dogs through adversity. This is how you become great. Like I said, my content is not for the low level thinking people. These are for high conscious, right? We always have high level conversations, right? We talk about things, right, to get you back on your grind, to get you back on your purpose, right? Now, like I said, I don't believe in purpose. Right? There's no such thing as a purpose, right? There's only a such thing as a plan, right? It's a such thing as peace, right? It's a such thing as finding peace over purpose. But that was in the last episode. But figuring out these 5 things like I went over. We went over sleep. We went over So we went over sleep. We went over focus. We went over consciousness. We went over being happy, and we went over love. You tie those 5 things in, bro. There ain't no telling where you can go. That's the secret to life. It's that simple. That's the secret to life. You make that choice to dive deeper or delve deeper into these 5 things. That's your choice. But I'm just giving you the tools. It's like they say, give a man a fish, right? It's like you teach a man how to fish, right? He eats for 1 billion days. If you teach a man, if you give a man a fish, he only eats for a day, right? It's the difference between being knowledgeable or not. Right? Do you want to be a leader, or do you want to be the guy in the back row, right, in the kitchen? Right? Do you want to be the forefront leader? Because the forefront leader, they got to go through the rut. They got to know the ins and outs of everybody's experience, right? And if you don't want to be that type of person, that's okay. You can still pull little right, little bits and pieces out of what I'm saying, out of what people say who enjoy, right, being in the back kitchen, right? Because an army doesn't work that way. It doesn't work when everybody's a general. It works when everybody plays their role and when they're really, really good at their role, right? I believe that we're all destined for a certain role. We're all really good at a certain thing, right? And I've just found what I'm good at. I'm good at helping people, right? I'm good at going through adversity, right? And I learned all of these through my baby girl. I learned it all through this, right? This got me through it. For you, it could be something else. It could be food, right? It could be a notebook, right? It could be an experience, right? But for me, this is what has gotten me through certain things. This is what has taught me a lot, right? I do a lot for this. I walked an hour and a half, right, for this. I walked and worked a job for this, right? Everything that I've done has been centered around this. I've taken breaks from this because I understood it wouldn't work for me right now. I have a healthy relationship with this, and that's why I can say it got me to where I am today. This is Marshawn Unfiltered. My name is Marshawn Robinson. I am a communications major at the University of Ripon College. Right. I am also a collegiate athlete. I'm a basketball player. Right. And I'm an enthusiast. All right. So make sure if you got inspired by this conversation, go send it to a brother. Right. Make sure that they hear this. Right. If you have found bits and pieces of this topic, make sure you go share them. Y'all have a beautiful day. We out. Deuces.